So I wanted to do something different for this video, right? So as you know, I started my journey in terms of building a seven-figure brand since August 2024. That's when I officially started. Then I kickstarted my freelance career, which ultimately led to me really focusing on building my own business and my own agency, right? So through the time, I've been really documenting, and I talk a lot about the importance of documentation because it's something that I preach is because I lead by example. And for me, I feel that within my job and within my role as a brand authority strategist, that is something I truly hold dear to myself, especially when I work with my clients, because it's a case where I lead by example. There is nothing that I would ever tell a client or a friend or anyone of that matter to do that I wouldn't do myself when it comes down to brand building and building that level of brand authority. And that has helped me so much throughout the journey. And for this particular video, I thought, you know what, let me just react or somewhat go through a previous piece that I wrote for a magazine just to kind of go through. And I think it's an interesting topic to discuss as I wrote this, or it was published back in November 2024. So it'll be interesting to see if my thoughts are still aligned with that particular piece and if I kind of hit the nail on the head with that one. So yeah, let me share my screen and we can get straight into it. But before I do share my screen, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you find these videos informative, if you find them useful, and if they're allowing you to build that level of brand authority that we're all striving to build before the personal branding deadline, which is the 30th of November 2027. Right? I haven't forgot, we got work to do. But anyway, let me share my screen. So this was on Influence magazine. So that's the CIPR's magazine, and yeah, they featured me on the piece in November, which I was incredibly thrilled. And I initially wrote this on my blog before, and then they kindly took the piece and then shared it with their audience as well. So what I spoke about or wrote about in this case is the common personal branding mistakes and pitfalls, right? Because throughout the process of me working in PR, and those for those who are familiar and who's watched my content, or if you haven't watched my content, you wouldn't be aware that I've been working in the PR industry for almost a decade. So I've seen the ups and downs of what it means from a PR perspective, but then also with the rise of personal branding, it was something that I really gravitated to, and I started to have much more of a clearer understanding that I not only applied to myself, but then also for my clients as well. So I was able to see effectively what are those mistakes that people tend to make, or what are those things that people tend to miss out on. So we'll just cover them one by one, to be fair, and just go through. So I won't go through the whole piece. If you want to read the piece, I will include that in the pinned comments. I'll include it there if you want to have a read as well. But let me just go through and scroll through, and let's just go through this top seven. So number one is letting your online presence go stale. So in the digital age, your online presence is often the first impression you make. Neglecting your social media profiles, failing to update your LinkedIn, oh, don't get me started, or ignoring personal websites can make you appear unprofessional or disinterested. Or ignoring personal websites, also I read already. An outdated or inactive online presence can give potential employers or clients the impression that you are not actively engaged in your field. The solution: regularly update your profiles with new achievements, skills, and content. Engage with your target audience by sharing relevant articles, commenting on industry news, and participating in discussions. Use your online platforms to highlight your expertise and enthusiasm for your field. By maintaining an active presence, you'll set yourself up for success as you move into 2025. So you see, I've been talking about this stuff for a very, very long time. And for me, it feels that it kind of falls on deaf ears. However, I think the truth still remains that yes, you cannot let your online presence go stale. I talk a lot about the importance of search engine optimization and ensuring that you are high in the search engine results. So when people Google your name, they know who you are, they know what you do, they know what your expertise are, They know your go-tos, they know your strengths, they know what you tolerate, what you don't tolerate when it comes down to your business or your brand or whatever the case may be. But it all comes down to the point where more often than not, I always say that if a employer or a person that is looking for business from you, they can't find you, then technically you don't exist. And you don't want to be in a position where at this particular stage of brand building, when someone Googles you, they can't find you. And I've done videos on this previously that you can go back and check out regarding how you can ensure to improve on your SEO results as well. So do check that one out. Let's go. So overemphasizing self-promotion. You know what? Before I even read that, that part for me still rings true. But what I would say before I even have a read and a recap is that, especially with what I've been doing over the recent months, really doing the best to showcase not only my personality, but my expertise, documenting the process of what it means to build a seven-figure brand, allowing people into my ecosystem to showcase and share my methodology of the phases brand authority system and what that means and how you can install that into your own business in order to build your personal brand and your business brand and use your campaign brand as a way to drive both of them simultaneously. These are the things that now more than ever I need to promote it. I need to promote it as much as I can. I need to promote it every day. That's the reason why I'm doing this daily content, because I've learned over the years anyway that there isn't such a thing as promoting too much. There is no such thing as promoting too much. If you are running a business, if you are a founder running a business, then you have no choice but to promote every single day. You need to promote, and it's super, super important, right? With this, let me have a read actually, and let's see what Ashley said. While promoting your achievements and skills is important, overemphasizing self promotion can come across or come off as arrogant or self centered. Constantly talking about yourself, your accomplishments, and your opinions without engaging with others can alienate your audience and harm your reputation. That, you know what? That part is somewhat true and somewhat not true. Like I said, you need to promote all the time. You need to promote as and when you can. However, the point that definitely still stands true and it rings true is the fact that don't make that your only sort of vehicle. Don't make that your only sort of outlet where all you do is promote, 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 but you never share, 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 or you never show love, love, love. You feel me? With that, you need to be, as well as promoting yourself and putting yourself out there. I said in one of my previous videos, showing love is one of the biggest life hacks that you can do, honestly, because it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to let someone know that they're doing a good job and you appreciate what they have been doing and what they continue to do, because it's super important. And even now that I said that, I just remembered I need to do a video dedicated to someone who I feel has done super amazing when it comes down to business and their personal brand. But with that, you need to have a balance. There has to be a balance to it. You can't just be too salesy, salesy, salesy to the point where no one just wants to align with you because you're just not helping others, or you're not just kind of building a ecosystem that inspires not only promotion of your work but also promotion of community and promotion of empowerment and people working alongside together. Strategic partnerships in this day and age are super important, and it's not something that you should ever take lightly. So I once worked with a client who only posted about their achievements. True story. And while their knowledge was impressive, their engagement was minimal until they started actively promoting the success of others too. You have to promote, man. Solution will strike a balance between self-promotion and engagement. Share your achievements, but also highlight the accomplishments of others. Share valuable resources and offer your insights on industry trends. Engage in meaningful conversations and be genuinely interested in what others have to say. Remember, a strong personal brand is more than self-promotion. It's about building a reputation of value which will benefit you long term. And that stands true, man. I stand by that one. That one I definitely stand by. Number three, ignoring the importance of networking. Building a personal brand isn't just about online presence, it's also about real life interactions. Ignoring the importance of networking can limit your growth and opportunities. Listen, you need to network. You need to network and you need to have an understanding of not only who your ICP is, but also who your IFP. If you do not know what ICP is, it's your ideal client persona or ideal customer persona, right? However, the IFP is also very important. I'm going to do a whole separate video on the difference between the two anyway. But long story short, for the sake of this video, your IFP is your ideal follower persona. Those are the people who genuinely gravitate towards you, what you're doing, your work, your expertise, and they're just genuinely supporting you on the mission whilst you're building. They are genuinely supporting you and they are there for you, right? And they may not necessarily ever buy from you. However, they will share your content. They will engage with you in the comment sections and they will let people know what you do and how you do it and how other people can get in touch with you. Your ideal follower persona is very important, is if not just as important as your ICP. Your ICP, you will work with them directly and they're the ones that will be paying you, but your IFP are the ones that are really supportive of you and the work that you do. And you can learn a lot and gain a lot from just really building a network that is a blend of your ICP and your IFP as well. So let's just continue. But that's another video I'll drop for another day. Comment below if you're interested and I'll break through the whole thing in detail. So, ignoring the importance of networking can limit your growth and opportunities. Many young professionals make the mistake of thinking that their skills alone will propel them forward, forgetting that connections are often just as important. And you know what? I wrote this one with the sort of young professional in mind, to be fair. But all of these things, they still apply in business, they still apply as a founder, right? So all these things are still ideas that I definitely back from different areas. Whether you are just starting out in your career, whether you're building your own business, whether you're a freelancer and you're moving into becoming a solopreneur, all these things are relevant and relative, and they're still incredibly important. Number four, not defining your unique value proposition, otherwise known as your UVP. Your unique value proposition sets you apart from others in your field. Many young professionals fail to define their UVP, which can make them blend in with the crowd. Yeah, that's fair. Let me keep going. In my case, we could argue that the personal branding space is incredibly saturated. Listen, it is incredibly saturated. I wrote this back in November 2024, right? We are in 2026, and for me, personal branding is still very much important, but it's become very much diluted and watered down. That is why I focus on brand authority, right? I focus on building your personal brand and I focus on building your business brand. And I focus on being able to use campaign brands in a way that can drive both of them in order for you to drive your client pipeline and to drive more revenue into your business. This right now, I would say, regarding the idea of personal branding, is very much a vanity thing, I would say, the way that it's presented, in my humble opinion. The way that it's been presented is not allowing business owners and founders to translate what they're doing into revenue. And that's the reason why a lot of people are not fully convinced with it as of yet, because as far as it's concerned, there isn't any tangible opportunity off the back of the brand as opposed to just being more visible. However, with what I work with brand authority, is really allowing you to document that whole process that allows you to be not only visible but credible, right? And through that, you don't only attract your ICP, as I mentioned, but you also attract your IFP. Like, honestly, the whole element of how I worked through my methodology really ties into the areas where you use your brand to drive revenue and to grow your business. That's what it's there for. I don't believe in doing things for vanity metrics. I believe doing things that have tangible outcomes to the work you're doing, right? So that's my thought on that based on this previous piece that I wrote. Um Solution: take time to reflect on your strengths, experiences, and passions. What do you do better than anyone else? What unique perspective do you bring to the table? Once you have a clear UVP, communicate it consistently across all your branding efforts. Your UVP should be evident in your CV, social media profiles, and in the way you present yourself in person. And you know what? That is actually a good point. That is actually a good point because when it comes down to brand building, building brand authority, a lot of the time, and you know what? I'm gonna do a video on this. I'm gonna do a video on this. Let me write it down so I don't forget. Actually, apologies. I just need to write this down because that's a good topic to cover. Your brand in person is just as important as a brand online. Okay, we're back in the room. So where was I? That is incredibly important. I think that ties down to the part of you just being authentic and genuine across the board. And when I talk about the idea of documentation and that element of building in public, you have the opportunity to develop that cohesiveness when it comes down to your brand because you are detailing and showcasing everything in a way that makes the most sense for you. But I will cover this video actually because I think that'll be a very interesting video for you guys. If you're interested as well, let me know in the comments. So number 5, focusing solely on professional achievements. While professional achievements are a significant component of your personal brand, focusing solely on them can make you appear one dimensional. Cool. So, you know what? Before I even continue, I find it quite interesting and quite, can't even think of the word, but I think it's more just, I was grateful. I don't know why grateful came up, but I think grateful for the fact that these things that I've been talking about, that I've been writing about, that I've been covering since 2024, it I've been seeing how the industry has shifted and changed over the years, and a lot of the things that maybe people were not really taking into consideration is I'm grateful to know that this is documented. And I talk a lot about documentation because this is literally what I'm talking about. I'm in a position where I can find previous articles that I wrote that was featured in different publications years ago, and I can actually review it and share my thoughts and opinions on it, whether it ties down to what I'm currently doing now and if it still has that same sort of impact and effect. And I think that's pretty cool, to be honest. I think that's pretty cool. But let's get straight back into it. So, solution: don't be afraid to showcase your personality, your hobbies, and interests outside of work. Share your volunteer work, hobbies, or personal projects. This not only makes you more relatable, but also demonstrates that you are a well rounded individual with a diverse skill set and a rich life outside of work. And you know what? I would say I have a rich life. I have a rich life. The seven figures are not there as of yet, but in terms of what I've been able to do, in terms of how vibrant I would say life has been from the process, my whole journey, I would say, from not being able to find a job to getting into a program that allowed me to develop the skills of a PR professional in 10 weeks, to then becoming a graduate trainee for an integrated marketing agency, to then building my sort of career all through to the point where I said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I need to be out of it and build something of my own, something that I've used all of these years to develop and refine and learn to build something bigger than myself. And now I'm at the stage of building my agency and building my community as well. And for me, I've been able to document that and also showcase my personal sort of achievements as well. Not only the PR week 30 under 30 stuff, but when we're talking about, I suppose, just more on a personal, me just having the opportunity to develop as a person and grow and understand my sort of power, my sort of reputation and my sort of credibility to what I can do and what I will continue to do is something that's been driving me forward ever since. And it's amazing how I'm able to look back and think, you know what, professional achievements are always important. Don't get me wrong. However, it's that person behind the achievements that was able to get it done in the first place. So, what is their sort of ethos? What's their sort of way that they go about things? What do they sort of appreciate that gets them moving, that gets them going forward, right? And it all comes down to the importance of personal branding for me. It's so incredibly important. I'm so passionate about it. So, to have that level of passion and to put that forward in the work that I do is a major blessing, man. It's a major blessing. Cool. Failing to adapt and evolve. The professional landscape is constantly evolving, and your personal brand should evolve with it. Sticking rigidly to a brand that no longer aligns with your goals or industry trends can make you seem out of touch. For example, oh, I got an example here. When I was a music blogger, I spent most of my time writing articles without diversifying my content. However, not everyone prefers to read. Some prefer videos or quick 60-second tutorials. By failing to adapt, I missed opportunities to engage a wider audience. And you know what? This is beautiful stuff because all the stuff I talk about is all facts. Like it's all documented. That's why you can go back and check all the stuff I've been talking about, I've been doing. But it's true. I failed to adapt in that side. I failed to adapt, and it's the whole idea of evolve or become extinct effectively. And that's what happened to me. And that's why through my experiences and my sort of lessons throughout the years, I've learned the importance of what it means to develop those skills and learning how to be comfortable to the point where I'm doing more video content because I know that it's that face value element that is so key and super important, whilst being able to showcase your personality and your expertise. When you're in a position when you can do that together, right? That is a gold mine because it's not everyone that can effectively do both. Sometimes you got someone that can show their expertise a lot, but they don't have no personality to it. But then you have some people that have a lot of personality, but they don't know how to bring it back to what makes their skills effectively useful for business, right? So with that, I do believe. Let me know in the comments if you disagree, but I do believe that I have the sort of balance, I would say, of being able to show that personality, but then also back it up with hard evidence to showcase that I am who I say I am as the obvious choice and a key person of influence, right? And that all comes down to the learning process because as you saw in my article, it wasn't like that before. It just wasn't like that, to be honest. And it just took a lot of time to learn and develop and to just learn over time, to be fair. And then as you're learning, just be sure that you're also being intentional with how you are applying those lessons as you continue to evolve, whether it comes down to brand building, whether it comes down to business. Like I said, it's all relative. What was my solution? Be open to change and willing to adapt your brand as needed. And also, that is a good point because with brand building and with a lot of my clients, and I'd always talk about the importance of understanding your brand authority pillars, right? And with those pillars, those are the things that allow you to understand what are the top 3 to 5 things that is ultimately me that I can talk about with that level of passion, with that level of optimism, and or even that level of contrarian view, even that level where you come across as quite contrarian in that element where you're kind of taking it to another sort of conversation or you're a bit against the grain. What are those things that effectively make you uniquely you that can position yourself to build your brand? But then at the same time, as you continue to evolve and develop, your brands will change. There's going to be sort of key components and key areas of your brand that will always remain, right? But as you continue, as you get older, as you get into different industries, as you evolve as a person, as a professional, there's going to be different sort of pillars that are going to form or develop as a result. So with that, you evolve with the times. There's things that you sort of include and you weave in and you talk about and you discuss throughout the journey. And as I talk about the importance of community and finding your tribe, as you're evolving over time, you evolve in the position where you're able to find those people that can resonate with you, right? Whether it comes down to the actual community element or whether it comes down to the media outreach perspective, there's always someone for you. It's just about how you strategize and plan it in an outreach way that allows you to connect with the right people and the right publications and the right media to get you in the right direction, right? Cool. Let's go. Um, and yeah, lastly, number seven, overlooking the power of storytelling. Personal branding is more than a list of qualifications and experiences. Facts. It's about telling your story. Many young professionals overlook the power of storytelling in their branding efforts. Simply listing facts and achievements can make your brand feel dry and impersonal. So, my solution was use storytelling to make your brand more compelling and memorable. Share stories that highlight your journey, challenges you've overcome, and lessons you've learned. Authentic stories resonate with people and make your brand more relatable and human, right? And that for me, I think it hits the nail on the head. You have to be human, you need to be honest, you need to document and showcase your story. I talk a lot about my story because I came from a place of not really feeling like I had that level of confidence to even leave my job and to go out and do my own thing. And I realized it all came down to fear. Fear was a thing that was a big blocker in my life and how I was able to navigate and do different things and to excel to new levels and new heights, right? But then it took me to do skydiving and jump out of a plane 10,000 feet in the air. And it felt like that fear just eradicated. And I always reinforce that story. And I always laugh and I say that I'm going to rinse this story because it's true, it's factual. And with these things, not everyone is going to always hear your story. And it's important for you to never, ever get sick of documenting and sharing your story because there's going to be people who have no idea who you are, who have no idea what you do, and have no idea how what you have done in the past relates to what you're doing now. So it's in your best interest to always reinforce that story and never get sick of telling that story. Never get sick of telling your story, right? And lastly, I might as well just conclude it with the end. Personal branding is a powerful tool, but it requires careful planning and execution. By avoiding these common pitfalls and focusing on consistency, engagement, networking, and authenticity, you can build a strong personal brand that sets you apart in your field. Remember, your personal brand reflects who you are. Make sure it's a true representation of your unique journey and talents and one you're proud to carry into the future. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. All right. I- you heard me already. I more or less agree with a lot of those points that I made previously in the article. A few tweaks regarding the element of promotion. I'm now in the sort of mind frame that promotion is key, super important. You have to promote, 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 promote. Because if you don't promote yourself, who will? Unless you're paying someone to promote for you. That part is important, but I think everything else stands true. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what your thoughts were on this video. If you want more sort of videos like this, then let me know because like I said, I lead by example. I have many different articles in various different publications talking about different topics that I've done previously, right? And also, God willing, there'll be some new ones on the way as well that I can document and showcase and even do a video like this and just doing a reaction to my own content. And as I always say, this is an example of a content loop, an infinite loop, because if I am using my PR skills to do the outreach, right, to secure coverage, which I can then turn into content that I'm doing here as I'm recording and speaking with you guys, right, to then turn this into a transcript that I can then use to develop it into a LinkedIn post that I can share towards my audience to let people know what I'm talking about and aligning it with that. That's like what, three pieces of coverage already, or three pieces of media opportunity or social media opportunity. Sorry, we haven't even scratched the surface with all the other stuff. But on that note, please like, comment, and subscribe. I hope this video was useful. And I'll catch you tomorrow. Bless up, big up yourself. Take care.